Welcome to my podcasts called Discover Your Power, where you will learn how to release limiting beliefs, create abundance, and manifest the life you deserve and that truly works for you. My name is Jania Aebi, transformational healer, author, and coach. There is so much more joy, health, wealth, and success available to you when you get a true perspective on how life really works. I want you to have what you deeply desire, and these podcasts will help you find your truth, unlock your potential, and empower your life. All the scriptures and sacred texts of every denomination of faith tell us the truth of our being, but must be rightly interpreted, meaning spiritually interpreted, not taken materially at their face value, as they usually are by people unawakened to the spiritual reality. We see ourselves only as the visible material manifestation of a body, surrounded by all the other visible things that look separate because we see empty space between us. With the physical sight, we don't see the invisible field of energy that unifies us. Nevertheless, it's real and can be felt and even experienced by those sensitive to their subtler senses. Energy can always be subconsciously perceived, even if it does not arise into our conscious experience. Simply put, quantum science now tells us that energy, once entangled, meaning it was one energy, remains forever entangled, even when it manifested itself at the Big Bang as a myriad of separate things, still interconnected at the quantum level. The true reality is still there, underlying all manifestation. But on some level, the creative force of life is always going on, always creating new and perfect forms of itself, as does the nature of our planet, unless we interfere with our free will, thinking we know better than the source of all life how things should be. And most of the time, we want to change some things in our reality that in this moment appear as something we don't like, some relationship that is not fulfilling. The job we have is not providing enough income, or maybe is not what we really want to do in life. Our health may not be good, and we think that only when the material conditions of life are exactly as we want them, in other words, good, we will become the person we were born to be, an expression of Source. Forgetting we already are that, and only have to bring our personality into alignment with that, and so to awaken to what the truth with a capital T is. My prayer for the longest time and still now is, God, more than I want to fix, change, control, heal, manipulate anyone or anything, I want to wake up to the truth that makes me free. I want to know who and what I am and why I'm alive. That means we no longer think that making changes in our lives is the way to achieve spiritual awakening. We no longer think that our mental and emotional freedom comes from circumstances being exactly as we want them to be, or from other people acting as we want them to behave. We no longer believe that the situations we're in or the circumstances surrounding us must change before we can feel happy or satisfied, and attain a vibration that we believe is the vibration of spirit, always content, everything being as it is. But we become aware that wherever we find ourselves mentally, emotionally, or physically is exactly where spirit also is, but with one difference. Spirit is not trying to change anything and is not judging anything, but just is where you are. No blame, no judgment, no wishing, no wanting, no seeking anything. So can we, for just a moment, stop the energy of perpetual seeking for something else and instead say, may I see myself as I really am, right now, regardless of what your circumstances are, of how other people perceive you, of how you perceive others or the world. Just still yourself for a moment and sit in the consciousness of, may I see myself as Spirit sees me, as I truly am, right now. Feel into those words, and you can say them out loud if you want to, because what you see, hear, and feel, your soul also sees and feels. That is the whole purpose of the soul coming into your body, to have experiences through a physical body. What you perceive with your senses is an activity of the ego through human consciousness, through your mind, which is designed to draw parallels and conclusions based on previous experiences, to define things as wanted or unwanted, based on the life you've had up to now. And none of it is bad or wrong, or less than your soul's consciousness. It's a necessary part of the human experience, and simply shows you how limited your mental awareness is, because it's confined to this present lifetime, while the awareness of spirit extends across all lifetimes and the whole cosmos. There is only one consciousness, that of spirit, but for each person it's experienced through the human filter of remembering, consciously or unconsciously, everything that's happened since their birth. So it's severely limited. Every eventuality, every circumstance is already in the consciousness of spirit, and it is allowing and peaceful about it all. But to your human consciousness, the appearance in front of you is new, different, unknown, and therefore often not acceptable. Or it's scary or painful as it relates to previous experiences. So you resist it. That's why when any change appears on the horizon, we oppose, we defy, we rebel, we become impatient or anxious, showing us how little open-minded we are about the possibilities that could be inherent in the change. Change is not necessarily bad, but it does require adaptation. So the question now becomes, do we have to believe everything our mind tells us? Has the mind always told us the truth? How often have we changed our mind about something? How invested are we in believing the conclusions we come to in our mind? Or can we just rest in the knowing we are our soul and witness the things going on in the world and in our personal world without being so very invested in them being what we're used to? Could we just sit and realize that our heart is still beating, witness our breath going in and out, while we also witness the events taking place outside, that are just the actions and reactions of the personalities in our life or on the TV screen. And it doesn't matter what your thoughts and observations are about what's happening. You are entitled to any or all of them. They are like clouds passing in the sky. You are the sky, not the clouds that are passing through it. That's the realization which shifts you out of the ego and into your soul. What matters is, are you invested in believing what these clouds are telling you? Or will you decide to view it all from the perspective of the sky? Your only true reality is in your life, in your breath going in and out, in your heart beating in your chest, and in your desire to see yourself as you really are, a field of intelligent energy and infinite vast potential, not yet expressed. What arises in your mind due to what you see, think, or hear is not wrong. It's just one of the many possibilities, and you don't have to believe it. You can look at those thoughts and beliefs and judgments as if it was what's being said on the news. You're hearing it, but it may not be true. You don't have to believe what they're saying. It's just showing you which station you are tuned into. But if you don't like it, if it makes you feel sad or bad, there are many other stations active around you all the time, and you just have to turn the dial to get to a different channel with a different voice and message. And you keep turning it until you get something you like. When you're dealing with the subject of frequencies of thoughts and beliefs, the same principle holds true. But the dial you have to use is not a physical dial, but the dial of your attention. So you turn your attention away from the negative towards thoughts of things that are working well, things that are beautiful, harmonious, or joyful. Some kids playing in the park, a couple of lovers on a bench, a puppy that licks your face, a rose opening to release its scent. Other thoughts may crowd in again, and again you consciously turn your attention to what you like to see, hear, or perceive. The more you do that, the easier it becomes, and every time a little bit of the ego is dissolved, and a little bit more of spirit is born in you. When we don't recognize ourselves as who we really are, we are tapping into the unconscious collective mind we were born into, which says we are separate from God, that we have to strive and fight for the good we want, that's very limited and out there somewhere, so we have to cheat, steal, and maybe kill to get that piece of the pie we want. It's not our fault. We were trained to be like that from birth, but we don't have to believe that training either, right? We can start believing a higher truth, one that lifts you up instead of making you disheartened. We can start believing we're an extension of the infinite energy of God in form and visibility. And even science now tells us that we are made of energy, that our body is not solid, but 99.999% empty space, meaning a field of potential, intelligence, and information. We can choose what we want to believe. So if we are that expression of God, then we can't be anything less than God. And so we are totally supported and looked after, protected, safe, and secure. We are a beautiful, powerful, confident expression of source energy that expressed itself in the Big Bang, manifesting all the various forms of the universal consciousness. Therefore, we can never be separate or alone. We are a divine, unique expression of all the power, wisdom, and love of life. We are whole, complete, and infinitely worthy. And if you tell yourself that truth every day, multiple times a day, your ego hears it over and over again, and will start accepting it as something known and familiar. So instead of rejecting it, we'll start searching for the evidence of it, proof of it in your daily experience. That's the job of the mind, to search and find proof of what you believe in your material life. Whatever it is you believe, and it's really good at it. That's how better and better experiences show up in your life. Friendly people show up instead of those who take advantage of you. Your wallet slips out of your pocket on a bus and it gets returned to you. You got delayed and thought you had missed your plane, but miraculously the plane got delayed too, so you board it. Or if your belief is that life is against you, that things or people are bad, that circumstances are difficult, then your house gets burgled, you lose your job, your relationships turn sour, or you step right into that puddle that you could have avoided. So your number one job is to make your default thinking become a recognition of the perfection of life in its every aspect. Your mind is the perfection of source energy. Your heart, whatever its physical state, is the perfection of life. You love your body for the perfection it really is. You recognize that every person, however they behave, is an expression of source energy and as such deserves to be recognized and respected. Whether you have or don't have the things you desire in life, you can recognize everything as the perfection it truly is, beyond the unconscious or offensive behaviors of the personality. And make that endeavor fun for yourself. You just know that every experience you're now having is the perfect example of what it's supposed to be. For example, you're now sad. I am experiencing perfect sadness. The next moment, you are angry or disappointed. I am experiencing perfect anger, perfect disappointment. You've just won the lottery. I am now in perfect joy or abundance or exquisite gratitude. Whatever it is that's happening, everything is just a perfect example of what it is. And what is what's supposed to be. That way, you eliminate all judgment, all desire to control or fix or change anything. You just allow things to be what they are. And that doesn't mean you become a doormat, or don't stop abusive or violent behavior if you can. You may even put people in prison or an institution if they are a threat to themselves or others. But always recognize their inherent divinity that could be awakened at any time through your unconditional forgiveness and allowance. When you take the time to actively and consciously remember the perfection every circumstance, situation, or person is, as an emanation of spirit, even when you can't see how it could possibly be, given your human perception, then the divinity in that person or situation can be brought forward for you as a deeper understanding, an insight, an activation of your own light in your physical form. You realize that you've awakened out of ego consciousness into universal consciousness, even if it was just a flash that you can't recapture. But it has changed a little bit of you from dark into light, and that can never be lost, even if you no longer feel it. That shift was made possible by you affirming the perfection of life consistently, regardless of appearances to the contrary, and what your mind may be telling you, because remember, your mind doesn't have to be believed. And you can become the person you were born to be, whether things seem perfect or imperfect. They are always the perfect catalyst to propel you forward into becoming the one you were meant to become. That's why we can affirm unequivocally that everything is here only to help us, whether we see it, believe it, or don't. We actually can only see it with hindsight. When you think back on the painful events that happened in your life, when you thought your whole world was falling apart, that you would never smile again or be happy again because your partner had left you for someone else, what does it look like now, 10 or 20 years later, when you're happily married and have a beautiful family? It looks like the universe was protecting you. It looks like the best thing that could have happened. Now you can't even imagine being married to that other person. What if we could recognize the inherent perfection of everything in spite of whatever our mind thinks? Then we are seeing through the eyes of spirit. We are seeing things as they really are. And when we see things as they really are, it means that we are also seeing ourselves as we really are. We have come full circle from our initial desire of, may I see myself as I truly am right now, to actually seeing ourselves as we truly are, because we've acknowledged the inherent perfection of life. We've shifted out of the ego's perspective, which focuses always on what I don't have, what I can't do, what I don't know, into the perspective of the soul, which is always about what I do have and know and am. The soul cannot recognize I am not. And the thing we always have, regardless of anyone or anything, the thing we can never lose, forget, or not have, is our breath. The whole spirit, the highest vibration of light, all its gifts, its guidance, and its consciousness is contained in potential, in our breath going in and out, without even our conscious volition. It's a practice to often take a few deep breaths and just sit in gratitude and appreciation for this one gift from Source always with us, which contains everything we could ever desire in potential. Love, appreciation, and gratitude are the highest vibrations in the universe, and a higher vibration will always entrain a lower one to raise and synchronize with it. Being grateful for your breath can become a powerful healing source to transform your mental, emotional, and physical state from wherever you're at, sadness, fear, resentment, anxiety, or unworthiness, into tolerance, harmony, peace, and going up the scale into joy and confidence. Even if you're experiencing lack or disability, and it may be true on the material level right now, but you do have the potential to heal any appearance by recognizing that love light is the most powerful healing force in the universe, and that light is within you as your breath, which is your life. And any time you get caught by fear, anxiety, or worry, because of the things you see happening around you, or that are brought to you by the media about wars, disasters, and politics, any time you feel unsafe, ungrounded, or insecure, I would suggest a very simple practice that allows you to communicate with the intelligence of your heart, which is the subconscious, and access the deepest part of you, which knows what's true when your personality often doesn't. It's a simple practice of creating coherence between your brain and your heart, and there are 3 steps to it. The first step is to close your eyes, a signal that you are disengaging from the outside world and moving to the inner, feeling world, going from the thinking mind to the feeling heart. The easiest way is to put your hand over your heart, because your awareness always goes to the place where you feel that touch. The second step is to slow and deepen your breath a little, making you exhale a little longer than your inhale, and pausing for a moment between each breath, becoming conscious of that 0 point where nothing is happening, a doorway into the stillness of the divine. Deep, slow breathing is a message to your body that you are safe, that all is well, and it grounds you. Breathe as if through your heart, where you feel the touch of your hand. Now you've established a connection between your brain and your heart. And the third step is to create coherence between the brain waves and the heart waves, which is necessary if we are to receive the messages which our heart, our divinity, wants us to have. Coherence is created by feeling a positive emotion of appreciation, gratitude, care, or compassion for anyone or anything. You could imagine a picture of a loved one or your child and immediately feel that wave of love. It could be a pet, the image of a beautiful rose, whatever works best for you. Appreciation and gratitude is an emotion that works really well for a lot of people. It's an energy of having, of a gift that has already been given and received. This needs to be sustained in your awareness for a few minutes to firmly establish the coherence of the 2 waves, which are usually incoherent. So no matter how the world outside looks, so long as you remain one with your breath going in and out as if from your heart, you are transforming yourself from the inside, literally rewiring your nervous system and the neural pathways in your brain to synchronize with who you really are, a spiritual being when nothing is ever wrong. I invite you to start conscious breathing with the 3 steps I've just described as your daily practice, and many times a day if necessary. So instead of living in the turmoil and agitation of the world, you live in the peace of your heart. I trust this has been valuable and helpful. Do you want to know more? Then check out my website, www.janiaaebi.com, where you can find much free material. Don't miss any of these episodes by subscribing to this channel. And thank you for your willingness to explore more of the abundance life has to offer you. I love you and will speak to you again soon.